Hey, all right. I think we're live. I'm going to go over a simple idea called colloquium. And a friend of mine asked me to put this on video, so I said so I did. All right, so colloquium is a strategy for organizing self. Well, you'll see. So we have a big problem. It's kind of happened in fairly recent history. I'm an American, so I think it applies to most communities in America, this problem. Um, and it has a very simple cause. It's not like a big moral failing. The cause is pretty obvious. And the problem is that with technology, culture dissemination is too cheap. So really, it's people used to sing songs and play guitar, and and then you could get this stuff on the radio, and so people stopped producing kind of stuff themselves and started consuming it, and that's not a bad thing. Like, it's fantastic because you used to have to like be present to a symphony orchestra to hear one, and now you could hear a symphony orchestra at home. It's an amazing thing. But the problem is what we do is we it's interpersonal relationships have they've become entertainment experiences like almost 24/7. So what we do, or we're kind of alone. So we pay to focus on someone else. So like movies are a great example, right? So this keeps feeding on itself though, and like fewer and fewer people are good at playing an instrument. You say, or if you are good at playing an instrument, you're kind of it's a fetish almost, right? There's no like, right? Culture dissemination is too cheap. The other problem is that these are youthful things. So really, like if you're stuck at home and you like to kiss girls, getting in a car where you can kiss a girl on the way home, kind of thing, is fun, right? And the girls like it too. And the girls have their own cars. I'm just a boy, so going to a dark movie theater where you can kiss a girl is fun, and that's really great when you're 13. The problem is like people become 30 or 35 or whatever, and they have children, or they have friends with children, and these kinds of social entertainment aren't child friendly. Okay. The other thing is that they're expensive, and the funny thing is, even if the event is expensive, people have to eat, and so what happens is the food in those places is either really bad and kind of cheap, like McDonald's, which is pretty repugnant, and really it'll drag you down, or it's expensive. Like you can actually get like something really good and yummy, maybe like in a big city, but it costs a mint. So it's just ridiculous. And of course, then nobody's good at cooking their own food either. And the whole thing's, it's basically people aren't good at anything. They're not good at talking to people because they're all zoning out kind of in common, watching some spectacle. And we become unhappy and isolated very quickly. It's a vast phenomenon. And it's not fun to talk about, but we're not condemning people or anything. Just regular people, really. This is widespread. So here's the solutions. Colloquium. There's self-organizing, there's self-hosted. The funny thing about self-hosting is I like the idea of having larger events, of a similar nature, but I just want to keep it really, it's got to start in the simplest form, I think. Food preparation is potluck. I think that's a really good idea, is just get everybody up their butt cooking, learning how to cook something good, right? You can try new things, ask people's feedback. It's all friendly. This is about repeated performance on a schedule, okay? Requires interpersonal interaction. What do you think? Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, what about this? Oh, I like that one better, etc. It's supposed to be friendly, kind of matter of fact, okay? Scheduled. It's not like, oh, what do you want to do? You want to do something tonight? It's on a schedule, and that's a big deal because you have to show up. Like if you have an activity like a card game, you have to be reliable. Like you have to actually show up, right? And that doesn't mean you're a bad person if you can't. Like people have emergencies, especially with people with careers and things like that. So, but it's an issue of part of the skill people learn, is to accommodate that. Like there's a coordination concept. Like there might be people like, oh, you find like there's maybe you have helpers. Like if you had a card game, it would be 6 people. Like 2 people don't play. They just talk, and maybe they focus on like food and cleaning up, and you just rotate that way. Really, like just make it practical, make it good. It's up to you. Get it? You have accommodating constraints. Like, oh, look, we love smokers. You just have to smoke outdoors. See my point? Like, don't be condemnatory. This is not, a soapbox, right? It's kind of funny. It's like, here's what we have to do. Right? So there's accommodating constraints. Like, we have kids around and we don't drink. Like, we don't. We don't care if you drink at home. It's just not here. You see? Because whatever. Like, oh, we can talk about anything. Just don't use really bad words. Normal. And you have to state them explicitly. Like, we can sort of see what works, right? But we don't deny that other constraints could work or relaxation of those constraints. Really, the issue is, are they overt, and is the witnessing of the success actual? That's it. Success is its own reward here. But then we can also say, hey, look, this is an interesting constraint that seems to work out pretty well. Okay. Public and shared, many good options for enacting them. So I don't want to keep this too abstract, okay? So here's a sample colloquium. Basic idea is the first and third Fridays every frickin' month, right? We actually look on a calendar, right on Google Calendar, okay? And use Facebook, have a little private group, takes about 4 clicks in 10 minutes, less, okay? You can put a photo up in within minutes. In that private group, we all belong, we all turn on a little notification thing. And if there's anything in that group that's relevant to the functioning of the group, that's in we type it in. And that typing in is not an excuse to back out and ruin the card game. Okay? And but we're going to look on Google Groups and we're going to stick it all in the calendar right there. It's a public calendar, and you can just subscribe onto your own Google Calendar, and then you'll get notifications 2 weeks in advance. It's all set up. It's simple as pie. It works great. Really, this technology is all free. So that's a basic requirement. You got to get that far, and we'll help you, but it requires sitting down with a phone or a notebook and making it occur. Get it? It's a potluck dinner. Okay, rotating responsibility. What we're going to do for now is somebody always brings a roast chicken. We try to get it free range. That's sort of our thing. It's gluten and dairy free otherwise, and bring some cool stuff like vegetable heavy. We're not really into carb loading. In wintertime, we just talk about it. It's not that hard. And if you want to learn how to cook shit, we get together and teach people shit. It's fine. It's not And the other thing is, whoever where we host it, the place is fucking spotless before anybody leaves. Get it? That's not. This is not. There's no mom to clean up after us. Okay. And what we do is we play the game of hearts, and we'll teach you how. It's kind of cool, and you get better at it. It's not like you're supposed to love it the first time. It's really kind of fun to get better at it, to pick up the strategy. That's sort of the whole point of all of these activities. You kind of learn new stuff and get better at them. Okay? Everybody gets to pick 2 articles. 2. So if it's it works out to be a dozen articles. That's kind of trippy. It's 24 articles, and we all read the same things, and you get to pick yours. Really. We try to get 6 people there, 2 extras. We're thinking of hosting 2 tables. And, with the 6, that lets us bring, you can do that via guests. You see, the extras are guests. And so that's kind of cool. So you can bring guests and stuff. And then you can smoke. No heavy drinking. Actually, though, you can smoke weed, and it's child friendly. You can bring your kids. If that's all good with you. Those are open rules that, legal. It's DC, weed is legal. So benefits number 1. So look, you get healthy food. That's key. It's I know it's not uniform across America. People get used to eating all this crap and eating in their cars, but that's not what we do here. You don't have to live that way to have fun. And so that's a big feature. So you don't have to do this not at the event, but you have to actually not just eat it, but contribute to it. So you'll get cooking skills, you'll get reading skills, you'll get mental skills like card playing. It's actually kind of fun. You have to remember the cards and shit. And obviously you get worldly knowledge. You get to meet people. We talk about these articles, but then we talk about the world. It's it's a little fluid, okay? So it's a community of real social bonds, what people used to call friends. It's not just goofing off. It's cool to have these events because, you just kind of watch the world go by. like the certain continuity to these types of events and the social bonds. It's like it gives you feedback, like, oh, you've gotten, this is improved, or this is, have you noticed that? Good feedback. Care bonds. So like by giving and receiving information like that, and selecting something for someone else to read, and cooking something for someone else, it actually, our bodies are, it's just genetics. It's not supposed to freak us out. It's just the fact of nature. It's not a matter of opinion. It's just the fact that there's one of the major hormones we produce, oxytocin, and oxytocin fights addiction. Isn't that funny? It actually lowers anxieties and fights addictions. It's actually not just to receive like food, but to provide it to someone else. It's what's called a reciprocal hormone, that the caregiver and the care receiver get the same hormone. And it's like our bodies love that shit. It's like why we love grandmas. You know what I mean? And grandmas like being grandmas. Okay? But like that shit's good for everybody. Like just for part of your life. We don't care what you do outside of this, right? But it could raise the bar for daily life. Like, like that is to see people get together, function, start to finish an activity, right? Talking. It's good shit. Like that's good stuff to get a dose of. What you do, maybe like all you do is play baseball the rest of your days, but like that's fine. Like you don't have to do that every day. This is a dose. It's a dose. It's on a schedule. Okay. So there's these nice benefits to this basic framework for almost any activity. It doesn't have to be card playing. It could be like, hey, we're going to do Moroccan food for a year. It could be real specific. It could be like, I'm going to do the food, and all everyone else has to bring like $10. And you get some of the permutations become complicated, but like we don't want it to be. Let's keep it simple, so it's easily replicable. I mean, another way to get everybody involved is you rotate. Everybody has to rotate and cook, and like the trust bond has to be there. Like really, like you actually conceivably could cook in someone else's kitchen, so you have to be like capable. Right? And you can do that offline, meaning outside of those hours, you could go and help someone else cook their dinner just to get comfortable cooking in their kitchen. Really, this is about being a responsible adult. These are trust and care bonds. Really, built over time, earned. Be cool. Health preserving, right? So all this stuff is good for your brain, good for your body. It's fantastic. Constant improvement. Constant improvement doesn't have to be some, it's not like a whip. It's just like, hey, gosh, I made soup, 4 months in a row, and I got better at making soup. It's like that kind of improvement of just, practice, habit, and feedback. Oh, when I put lemon in the soup, they liked it more. Really, these are things that, again, our bodies, brains, and it helps us interact with other people. I mean, if all you want to do is sit in a bathroom, then there's no reason to, participate in life. It has these kind of things that are good skills to have for everybody that are just kind of basic cost of admission. So like, hey, you got to have a Facebook account. You can't be paranoid about it, right? Just lighten up on that. Really, like I guess if you really are a horrible criminal, that's fine. But like, yes, the NSA is gonna know that you're bringing potatoes and parsley, right? If that's your concern in life, that like we talked about what we're gonna eat on Facebook on a little chat session, then there's a problem. And really, or if the problem is you don't know where to click on the screen to do a chat, that's a problem. You see? And Google Calendar is the same. It's like, hey, yeah, there's a calendar. Like if you're so afraid of life that you can't look at a calendar, it's, a problem. So, and the other interesting thing about this is that there are communities around places. Like really, like think about music clubs. And they're good. They're intergenerational. Like there's young people at a music club and there's older people. And music club could mean anything to you. It could be like this really kind of dangerous biker bar type environment, or it could be a biker bar environment that's not dangerous, or it could be something really fancy, like CBGBs or that kind of crap, or it could be something like the 930 Club or the Black Cat in Washington D.C. Like whatever that means to you. I'm not trying to say like biker bars can be or musical venues are like a business where a community forms around it. And those are not guaranteed to be enduring. Like actually self-organizing activities are potentially more enduring if they're, you know, in a widespread institutional context. And all I mean by institutional context is like we're self-aware of it, that we just do it on purpose. So, you know, communities versus clubs kind of thing. This is, first of all, it's not like it's not really identity based. I mean, I think I bring that up elsewhere, but it's not an exclusive activity. It's like really like I could be like, I like to read a lot, and that's a kind of a solitary thing to do. I actually like to kind of read plays out loud with people. That would be a lot more fun. But because it's nice to share that. But this is not an exclusive community. It's like the appeal of this is not living this way every day. That's the point. It's just on a schedule. You just get together and you're like, ah, yeah, cool. And you don't have to be up, right? 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 The point is that you'll go through normal life problems and that'll be shared with these people. I mean, hopefully it won't be. You get the point in a normal way, right? It's not the point. It's not like, it doesn't have to be some kind of, you know, dramatic made-for-television movie, you know, where somebody plays cards through their, you know, cancer treatment, okay? Because that's pretty drawing, right? But you get the point. I mean, it's, you know, you just bring your whole person to the event. We want out of channel, offline, as it were. You know, these are phrases. It means like you might like. You know, we'll have a list of benefits, but like if you need help moving, maybe you'll get that here, or maybe not. I mean, but you'll like have a chance, or like where to find a good accountant, you know, or etc. You know, profitable collaborations. Maybe like you'll be like, oh, that is an interesting job. I should talk to Tim, right? I should talk to Sharon about moving to that job. That would be exciting. You see, like offline collaborations that come out of these. There's minimal rules of entry, but they're explicit. So it's like, look, here's this, and this, and it's not because we're part of a hate group. You see what I mean? Like, really. Like, it's, you know, here's why we do this. Like, we don't drink because we want to actually, like, bring people in, like, if we meet them in AA. It's just not, like, the focus of what we do. It makes it possible. That's it. Or, you know, it's just, it makes it easier. You can drink all you want, but not at these events. That's it. You know, hopefully not things like, or you can say we're interested in this, right? But it's not like, you know, oh, we hate this or only love, you know, this, okay? So there's a history of participation. That's both the longevity of the activity, its publicity. Publicity means like, yes, this is not like some secret society, okay? And also it gives you a history of participation. You're like, oh yeah, like you get better at cooking and you get better at bridge or hearts or whatever, okay? Designed for participation and emulation. So again, it's public. It's not a secret. It doesn't have to be publicized, but it's, you know, and it's designed again for participating over time. Exercising virtues is sort of sounds fancy. It just means like obtaining excellences, like kind of measurable excellences, like, you know, your game of hearts might improve, or your skill to make soup, or you know, kale, or you know, cauliflower might improve, right? And your knowledge and so forth. Like, it's exercising virtues, your ability to communicate, your ability to read what other people read, and then select articles of interest for them. Is, you see the point there? Like, it's, and then you talk and share like experiences of the world that are sort of somewhat authoritative, and you're like, oh my goodness, okay? But it's not for money. And like, you can like refine them. Think about it. Like, there's some permutations. So like, let's just take a look at our colloquium. Our colloquium does this very odd, wonderful thing, okay? They decide they're going to set up another table, and their explicit idea is to grow it, okay? So they're going to stick a GoPro camera on, like they have one. It's not that complicated technically. That's not like a professional job. And they're going to like YouTube it. And they're going to have a silly format where they turn on YouTube, people show up. It's just free. It just happens automatically. It's not like there's any burden to it. And say hi, and then when they get the food ready, they'll show like all the yummy food. Okay, and then they'll like just play cards and talk, and that's it. It'll all, and then they'll hit save. I mean, there's nothing more to it. Okay, we decided to go no drinking. Okay, and we decided to go vegetarian, and it wasn't because of the health reasons. It's because like a lot of us eat meat. It's because we wanted to bring people that were vegetarian, like we wanted them to participate. So we just made it vegetarian. Like it was to make it more open to people, not more closed. Really, makes sense. It's not a religious thing. So, or maybe you get the point. It's we added some extracurriculars. Okay. So what we do is we're actually going to go out to eat, not play cards. One quarterly on the schedule, you know, and the maximum per person is $30, so it can't be super fancy. So, but you know, somebody can pick, and we can discuss it and debate and stuff. Okay. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do quarterly live music, and again, we're going to try to rotate and discuss or debate, somehow pick it rationally, and it's got to be, you know, the idea is actually we're going to get together for the dinner first or after, probably first, and then and that'll make actually any kind of transportation hassle easier. Like, you know, if it's somewhere in this, like in a city, then you can just get there easily and go home, or if not, then like you can kind of convene somewhere on a metro where somebody might have some cars, and then you can get there and come back. So it's like supposed to be, it's all for like logistically worked out, okay, in advance. We're going to do the second table, and we're going to try to start other groups. So it's kind of trippy. We're not going to, we want to keep this group going, and we want to actually start ones and like expand it. You know, we're going to experiment with that, and so we're going to bring in some new people. And ours is going to do a $500 investment club, and you don't have to do that, but when you join, it's a 24-month commitment, and we do reinvestments quarterly, and that's separate. Like, it's not that complicated. We try to keep it real simple about how we vote on options, how we, you know, define options and vote on them. Okay, and we'll just, you know, we get to talk about finance a bit, so that's kind of exciting too. Okay, so, you know, what are the kinds of benefits you're going to get if you're like, why would you do that? Well, it's kind of funny. This one group had a group, and they're like, part of our group is forming more groups, and you know, we'll permit. It's not hard using just normal Facebook and groups to, like, you know, make it work out. So, but look at all the benefits you get. Okay, you know, you can get like, you can find a credible service provider, or, you know, product advice and so forth. You can find like a person to help you move, and, you know, that kind of normal friendly stuff. Maybe even like share the holidays, because a lot of people live far away from their families. It's, you know, because of education and professional life. You get credible strategic life advice. Like, that's the best, right? It's like kind of find, oh, wow, you should talk to somebody. And by participating in the group for a while, like making introductions to a credible source of good advice is, and advice isn't just like, you know, keep your chin up. It's like, no, yeah, you should apply for a job here. Like, you can get it as practical as you'd like, okay? Really, you should look for vacation homes here, because everyone goes here and it sucks. They're losing their money. Get the point? Like, this is very real. Good decision making. Time and people. Because this is big. It gives you a sense of time and people and place, and potentially intergenerational. Like, that's just the issue of like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. Isn't that nice? And you get to see, right? This is mission based. This is key. You're not buying just items from a menu and worrying about if you can afford it. You're kind of seeking out places to make things happen. There's some contribution of resources, like making potatoes au gratin with good cheese or something, but it's very small actually compared to, you know, most entertainment evening out. Okay, and it's interpersonal, and again, it's on a schedule, but it doesn't have to consume your life. I mean, it's part of your life, and you could do, like, ideally, if there were more than one, you could do more than one. And it would be good for you, you know, right? And it would be accommodating in ways that, you know, are not. I mean, think about it. There are entertainment venues where the bathrooms don't work well. I mean, the whole thing, just getting out and about, can be kind of needlessly challenging if you just have responsible people take over. And it increases your skills again. You know, continuous source of potential allies in life. This is another big thing. Our lives are compartmentalized, and a lot of that's because of geography. Like, people live one place, right? Have friends from a school and then work in another place. Like their lives are compartmentalized. And that overlap, it's funny, when those things go away, replacing those bonds with people is very difficult. This kind of like lets your chunks of life overlap. Okay? Really. It's a good thing. It is. It's a responsible thing. And a lot of successful institutions do this anyway. Meaning like it's not like hippie-ish. There's like, you can see this, like think of rock bands that have to show up continuously. They have to be kind of overt if somebody gets ill, like a legitimate illness, not like, drug overdose, like a legitimate, right? Like they're present to this stuff. They're mutually supportive in a certain sense, right? And that's true for educational institutions, things that are very routinized, right? Very sort of, large audiences around, okay? A lot of arenas of life are that way. Think about a lot of business people that are very in public. They're giving lots of interviews, and some of those are private interviews with analysts or investors or potential partners. And it's a very, these are just different modes of life. And I'm not promoting that we all take on all the stressful aspects of that. Okay, but this is mission based. Hey, look, we share a mission and we can build bonds that are bigger than that mission, really, in a way. Okay, and kind of and also keeping up with that simple mission, like playing hearts, is keeps us on beam. Okay, this is another thing, is that again from geography, but is we maintain adult friendly relationships simultaneously with our domestic relationships. A lot of people's lives, this nesting thing is, if you do this for a little while, that's okay. I mean, it's perfectly normal. In fact, you can do whatever you want, and it's quote unquote okay. But the point is, a lot of people become isolated, and they become quickly unhappy, and they're not even aware why. Like the nesting thing isn't delivering the warm and fuzzies anymore. It can even lead to pathological behaviors. Like they bought things for the baby and that was good and felt like really rewarding, so they keep buying things and it doesn't feel rewarding anymore. See my point? These pathology, and they run up their credit cards and get into debt because they're looking for a benefit that's just not forthcoming by hanging out at a mall and buying things. So you get the point. It's really good to give people other ways to contribute interpersonally at the friendly adult level. You see? Adults also will give you better feedback. Like they'll notice things that only adults will notice. Like, oh, did you notice this about your skin? And like you're like, oh, thank you for telling me that. I'll go to the doctor. Like really such simple things. And men and girls have different self-care relationships, and athletes and non-athletes, but really just having other humans around to be like, how you doing? Da, 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 da. Give you feedback is fantastic. Okay? We all love that shit. And a man can, we can all dream, like basically better functioning tribal life, especially if we're going to go to college and relocate for jobs and things. It's like being able to kind of slip into like acceptable tribal life in that sense is really good. Okay? We want to keep people in the stream of that. We really do. We at all levels of society. We'd like to keep intergenerational anyway, and just better sense of time and so forth. This format really, okay, I don't know what you want to call it. It's just a sort of colloquium, conversational skill exercise. This can be applied to many existing communities of practice or geographies. Like workplaces could do this, military bases could do this, AA or other self-help groups could do this, church groups could do this at scale. Really, at scale. Creative pursuits, writers, make it, physical health practices. Really, yoga people could do this. Groups of 6 could do yoga and eat. It would be fantastic. People would love it. Right? Really, it doesn't have to be exclusive to other yoga practices. But some people that could be their introduction to yoga, like for a while, and people. So, I mean, really, these are like really just simple things, folks. And the internet should make this so easy to do. Okay? Communities define ways of life, and the idea is like to be overt about it. It's not about getting yours. It's about contributing yours and sharing. And I mean, look. If you trust me, You get 6 people, 4 people, whatever, whoever, you could divide it up. 4 people cook and 6 people come, and you get whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is like you get a bunch of people and you just turn something simple like some articles, some cards, and some onions and a chicken, right? Some veggies into like that, and you're like, holy shit! Look what we did. You'd be surprised, folks. It's really good. And the other thing is, in terms of all the side benefits, as more people are added in a credible manner, basically, there's geometric value. Like when somebody says, you need a tooth extracted, it's such a good deal if you just go here, and they do a good job. And somebody else present says, oh yeah, that's true, I went there too. You get you're like, oh, doubt goes down, the likelihood of success goes up. You see? Really. Self-reliance, this is, it may or may not apply to other arenas in life. I mean, we farm out parts of our lives all the time. It's not exclusive, you see. You can go to the movies another night. Voluntary other awareness and activity builds self-awareness. This is really true. It's funny. It's like self-awareness is not just navel gazing. I mean, navel gazing is useful. I'm a philosophy kind of reader type, so navel gazing is a big part of my daily schedule. But, okay, earned confidence, meaning, oh yeah, I'm reliable. I mean, just reliable to show up for a card game and cook something, or learn to cook. See, it's explicit practices. Self-selecting inclusion. So again, the explicit practices are presented as cautions, essentially. Like here, we caution against these activities occurring when we do this, because we're this focused. You see, it's not identity based. Like, oh yeah, we hate all the brown people, or we hate all the Muslims, or we hate all the Christians, or we hate all the we prefer not to have these identity based. That's not, It's about, remember, participating skills. These are institutional constraints that are only applied to time and place, so it gets past parochialism. It's like, oh yeah, we eat vegetarian, we love meat, we just have vegetarian because we like to invite vegetarian people to participate in the goodness of it. So it's a veggie night. See the point of that? You just get a little bit outside your comfort boundaries for the right reasons. And they become new comfort boundaries. It's not suffering, okay? And if you could actually do this at any kind of scale, self-aware, that kind of communal self-aware scale, it would permit smoother geographic transitions. Like, oh yes, there's many of such groups there with children. Like, how many groups are available, where kids come? And again, this is not a service for you. It's a kind of, again, community is a practice, and that, encourage basically participation, expansion. Okay, if you could getting people to relocate from one location to another for their jobs would be better, because you're like, oh yeah, there's good stuff there. Follow? That's recognizable to me. So that's the big picture, folks. We can talk about it more, and there's a lot more to say, maybe. It's funny, in our day and age, the way we communicate with, newspapers and social media and TV, we talk in these ways that are we say, oh, let's not do this, and then we have to, go on to condemn it. That's not the point. Let's move past that, right? We can just talk about certain cautions and areas of focus, and, basically it's politeness for a reason, But it's relaxed. It's not. We're not trying to be something we're not, right? And you can come, you can come when you cut your hand, and it'll be okay to play cards with a cut hand. We're not here to. There's not any overt competitive, right? In fact, it might be if you break an ankle and are absent from your normal social activities, here's a place you can come with a broken ankle and play cards. It'll be something good on your calendar, really, with good food and all the rest of it. You see, and you could just do it in one arena, or you could play cards and do another one that involves dancing. dancing's kind of cool. Like, it's one of those weird things being an American male on the East Coast where dancing is sort of not all that popular. Um, just where I grew up, and it wasn't the sticks necessarily. Like, I got to go to Harvard and stuff. Nice, right? Dancing is, and I danced some at Harvard. Don't get me wrong, but the adult communities, like, it's not like there's dances everywhere in Washington D.C. So you could do two of them, you see, and like your social relations would be good and so forth. It's funny again. This is not like, oh, and therefore you are like this all the time, right? You might have a very, very stressful job. You might have an aggressive job. You might cooperate in life this way and then go into a courtroom and ruin the lives of men. Really, you might be a prosecutor, or you might be somebody who does it in a corporate context. Okay? Really, right? You could be a chef and participate because you like to read and discuss politics with people that are involved in other industries. You see my point? It's a mission-based. It's on purpose. But it's bigger than the purpose, the benefits. And simply, actually, just by testing out communities of purpose, Okay? But it's a commitment. It's as good as the group. It's all about you. It's Colloquium.